Hey guys, Luke on Sean's channel. Today I'm actually pretty excited because I'll be opening the Fire King's structure deck. This is the latest structure deck, going to be the last one for the year. Honestly, I didn't have too much expectation going into this. I don't really know too much about Fire Kings, and I kind of just completely blindsided this product, but it actually seems pretty good. There's a lot of hype around this, especially because people are saying that this is like a really good structure deck, and I didn't really pay much attention to what the cards do, but apparently they're pretty good. And it was only when I was reading at the back here, I even seen that they have some pretty good reprints as well in the likes of Draw and Lockbird, Imperm, Solemn Judgment, Torrential. There's a lot of really good stuff in here. So what I'm going to do now is we have three of them right here. We're going to open them up, have a look through the deck, and then we're going to put three of them together and see what kind of deck we can build using only the three structure decks. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get straight into it. We have the deck. So Sacred Fire King Garunix, I'm probably pronounced that wrong, is the ultra that appears in the front here. Apparently this is the boss monster, but apparently this has like a few boss monsters in this structure deck. So let's just open this up and we'll take a flick through the cards. Okay, here we go. So Sacred Fire King Garunix. We have Fire King High Avatar Kirin, which is pretty cool. Let's see, Fire King Avatar Rangbali. We got Fire King Sanctuary. And then Garunix Eternity Hyang of the Fire Kings is the XZs. That goes through all of the ultras that are in this. So we have 5 ultras in total, which is pretty cool. We're going into the supers now. Fire King Skyburn, Echelon of the Fire Kings, and Legendary Fire King Onyx. Apparently this card is meant to be really good. This is meant to be like a staple around a tree in this build. We're going to get into a bit more on what these do later. Now we're going into the commons now. Fire King Avatar Garunix, Fire King Avatar Baron, Fire King Avatar Yaksha, Fire King Avatar Kirin. Oh, Blaster, this is great to see. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big fan of the Dragon Rulers. I think they should all be brought back because I'm very excited for that. I actually run Blasters in my Dragon Maid build, so it's cool to see that Blaster can be experimented with in some other decks now. And Burner, Dragon Ruler of Sparks, pretty cool. Love those Dragon Rulers. Coach Captain Behrman, Coach Soldier Wolfbark, True King Agnamaz the Vanisher, Inferno Flame Emperor, Dogorin the Mad Flame Kaiju, the Blazing Mars, Bonfire Colossus, Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys, Royal Firestorm Guards, Spirit of Flames, Fencing Fire Ferret, Firebrand Hymnist, Alpha the Master of Beast, pretty cool reprint to see, and Draw and Lockbird. Definitely a brilliant hand trap to have reprinted here. Just already in a structure deck or a spellcast a few years back. But Draw is one of these cards that really goes up in price, especially went up in price before Tactical Masters. Tactical Masters brought the price down a little bit, but it's nice to see that it's reprinted again here so we can keep the price down. Onslaught of the Fire Kings, we're moving on to the spells now. Circle of the Fire Kings, Rekindling, I actually really love this card. I'm a fan of Simo's Progression series, and this was used in a few Simo's decks, which I think was very cool. Fire Formation Tenki. I keep getting confused if this is unlimited or not. I'm pretty sure it's unlimited right now. I just remember when Zodiac was a problem, that this was limited to 1 and then it was semi, but now I think it's unlimited now, which is pretty cool. Dark Hole, Trade In, Herald of the Abyss. That's a great target if you're running Thrust in any deck. Let's see, moving on to the traps now. Flamvel Counter, Spiritual Fire Art, the Fire one. A Chain Destruction. I remember this was a Yugi card in Battle City when he was going against that Exodia guy. Actually, I remember I seen some guy in the playground who had this card, and I don't know what I traded for it, but he was wondering why the hell I wanted it off him so much, but it was just because Yugi played it. Of course that's why I wanted it. So Chain Destruction is really cool, very nostalgic card for me. Toronto Tribute. Solemn Judgment is kind of funny seeing this as a common. Has it been in a common before? I don't think I've ever seen it as a common. I think the lowest I've seen was Super from Maze, which is still pretty cool. And Imperm is a common now. That is so crazy to see. It's going to be great because it's going to make this card a lot cheaper, and that's what we really like. Staple cards to be cheaper, that's definitely a good thing. Power Sink Stone, And then we're going into the extra deck now. I didn't realize, oh, there's more here. I didn't realize there's much of an extra deck in this. Coach King, Giant Trainer, Diamond Direwolf. Of course, we got the Fire Charmer, why not? And then let's see, Fire King High Avatar Garunix, Fire King Avatar Arvata, and then Fire King Island, pretty cool. Fire King Island kind of reminds me of Duel Academy, which I really like, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's pretty much the deck there. Let's open up the rest of them, and we're going to find out what exactly we can build using only the cards supplied to us in these 3 decks right here. Okay, now that we have all of the extra deck, and side deck all sorted out, I'm actually pretty impressed with this deck. I'm really excited to kind of like play it and probably add more to it, but this is just working with the 3 structure decks we have right now. Let's just get into it. I'm actually really excited to do it. So we're going to start things off with the main deck right here. We're going to be running 3 copies of what I consider to be, well, one of the boss monsters of this build, Sacred Fire King Garunix. He's actually a lot easier to bring out than most boss monsters, just because like if a monster who's originally was fire is destroyed battle or card effect, while this card's in the graveyard or in the hand, you can actually just special summon this card out, which isn't a big cost. One of the main like gimmicks of Fire Kings is that they all destroy each other, and especially with the new wave support that's in the structure deck, a lot of them can destroy itself from the deck or the field or the hand, so it's pretty easy to get Sacred Fire King Garunix out. He also has a very good other effect, and the effect is on summon. So if this card is normal or special summoned, you can destroy 1 fire beast, beast warrior, or winged beast monster in your hand, deck, or face on field, except for itself. And if you do, this card gains attack equal to half the destroyed monster's attack it had there until the end of this turn. But yeah, I definitely think he's a very good boss monster, and definitely an essential to run 3 of in this deck. Next up, we're running 3 copies of Legendary Fire King Phoenix, or Ponix, whatever way you pronounce it. He has a very good recycling effect, so if your monster that was originally fire destroyed a battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. And also, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Fire King spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is really good because a lot of the Fire King spells and traps that we run give us really great advantage. I believe most of the time with Ponix, what you're going to want to search is your Fire King Sanctuary, which Sanctuary lets you directly activate your Fire King Island from your deck, face up in spell and trap card zone. Well, face up into the field spell zone, which means Ponix just gives you an easy +2 right there. Also, there's another effect that during the next standby phase, after this card was destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand, which of course really great recycling, and is able for us to dig deeper into our decks when we're searching for other Fire King spells, traps in the deck. So 3 copies of him I find to be very essential. Now I run 3 copies of Fire King High Avatar Kirin. Kirin is great. During the main phase he has a quick effect, and that's either main phase. You can destroy 1 other fire monster in your hand or face on the field, and if you do, you can special summon this card out. A lot of the Fire King monsters have that effect, but just not during the main phase as a quick effect. So that's what makes Avatar Kirin stand out a little bit more. We also have the effect, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Fire King monster from your hand or graveyard except for itself, and then you can destroy 1 card in the field. Which is really good pop that you're able to do with Kirin, so it's a very good way to kind of surprise your opponent in that sense. 3 copies of High Avatar Kirin I think very much essential for this build. I run 3 copies of Fire King Avatar Rangbuli and 3 copies of Fire King Avatar Arvata. These are good effect negates, which I find to be very good, so I try to maximize these as much as you can. Rangbali, if you face a Fire King monster you control is by card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then when it's on the field, when a spell or strap card or effect is activated while this card is on the field, you can quick effect negate the activation if you do destroy 1 other fire monster in your hand or face on the field, which is a very good spell to trap negate. But Fire King Avatar Avrata, when a monster effect is activated while this monster is on the field, you can quick effect negate the activation if you destroy 1 other fire monster in your hand or face upon the field. So I like having both of these cards. I really like when decks have like built-in effect negation, whether that be a spell or trap or monster effect. So I think maximizing these guys as much as you can is very much essential for the build. So 3 copies of Rangbali and 3 copies of Afarata. I run 1 copy of Fire King Avatar Baron. He has the same effect that you can special summon him out from the hand if a face of Fire King monster I control is destroyed by card effect. The only reason we run it out once is because his main effect really only happens in the standby phase. That is, once per turn during the next standby phase after this card was destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add one Fire King card from your deck to your hand. It's really great that you're able to add any Fire King card. However, the fact that it only happens during the next standby phase after he's destroyed is a bit too slow, so only running him at 1 is more than enough in this build. Rounding off the Fire Kings, we have Fire King High Avatar Garunix. What was obviously the original boss monster for this build before it was power crept in this own structure deck. He's still pretty cool to run at 1. He has the effect that once per turn during the next standby phase after this card was destroyed by card effect sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card from the graveyard, and if you do, destroy all other monsters on the field. So only running him 1 is more than enough. Rounding off the monsters in this build, I run 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. You know, it's a great hand trap, so we might as well maximize it. And then I run 1 copy of the Mad Flame Kaiju. I really like when we're able to make room to main deck a Kaiju, just because Kaijus are great no matter what the situation. I absolutely love the Fire King spells. 3 copies of Fire King Sanctuary I find to be a sound for this build. What Fire King Sanctuary does is, when it is activated, you can actually place Fire King Island face up in your field zone directly from the deck, which I find to be very good. Also, once per turn, if a card in your field zone, i.e. being your Fire King Island, is destroyed by card effect, you can destroy 1 fire monster from your hand or face up in the field instead, which of course is very good because, as you already know, our Fire King monsters really do pop off when they're already being destroyed. It also has the effect that once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monster, you can immediately after this effect resolves Xyz summon 1 fire Xyz monster using only Fire King monsters you control. Which of course is a good way to go into our extra deck boss monster of this build. We will get into him a little bit later. So definitely max out on your Fire King Sanctuary. Although Fire King Sanctuary is very good because it pretty much works as an inbuilt metaverse for this deck, 3 copies of Fire King Island is still very good. We want to maximize ourselves on the field spell. The only drawback of this card is that if this face-up card in the field zone is sent to the graveyard or banished, you need to destroy all monsters you control, which is the one kind of weakness of this deck. A lot of the spell and trap removal people run is most definitely Cosmic Cyclone, and since Cosmic Cyclone banishes, Fire King Island is not protected from your Sanctuary in this regard, and also if Fire King Island is banished as well, rather than just destroyed, that is going to destroy all your monsters. But while you can still have fun with it, because it has really good effects, that during the main phase you can destroy 1 monster in your hand or field, and if you do, add 1 Fire King monster from your deck to your hand, which is great for consistency in order that you can actually dig deeper into your deck, but also the fact that you're able to kind of pop off your Fire King monster's effects while you destroy 1 monster you control. And also is the fact that if you control no monsters, you can special summon 1 Fire Wing Beast monster from your hand, which is very good in order for us to special summon out as many of our Fire Kings as we can. Because not every Fire King monster can be brought out very easily, so it's a good way for us to kind of like special summon them so we don't waste our normal summon on something we don't really need. 3 copies of Fire Formation Tenki. When it's activated, you can add 1 level 4 or lower Beast Warrior monster from your deck to your hand, meaning any one of your level 4 monsters. Tenki is pretty much just here in order for us to dig deeper into the deck for our level 4 Fire King monsters. I'm really fond of this card, Fire King Skyburn. I think it's really cool, and I would maximize it in this deck. What it does is a quick play spell card, so you're able to use it as sort of a battle trick as well, that you can target an equal number of Fire King monsters you control and cards your opponent controls, and you just destroy them, which is absolutely great because we're most likely going to be destroying Fire King monsters that have effects when they are destroyed, and also this destroys cards your opponent controls, so you can get rid of back row as well. And also has another effect in the graveyard, that if a Fire King card you control will be destroyed by card effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard instead, which is great additional protection if we want to protect our Fire King Island from some destruction too. So I find maximizing Fire King Skyburn to be very good. Honestly, I was kind of struggling to fill this deck to be a full 40 cards, so I put in 1 copy of Circle of the Fire Kings. I think it's a really neat battle trick. We're not taking this too seriously, so it's pretty cool to have like some nice little tech options that we can explore. What this card does is you can target 1 fire monster you control, 1 fire monster in your graveyard, destroy that monster you control, and if you do, special summon that other monster from the graveyard. The reason why I run this is I think since it's a quick play, we can actually use it during the battle phase, so if we want to go in for the final bit of damage, Circle of the Fire Kings can be very good for achieving that. We're going to round things off with the traps, of course. Since it's a common in this deck, we might as well just run it. So 3 copies of Imperm, probably the best trap that was ever printed. Well, maybe a bit of exaggeration, but still very good. Good to have effect negation in this deck. So I definitely run Imperm at 3. Brilliant hand trap. And then we run 3 copies of Nope. I'm still getting used to seeing this as a common. Honestly, I really like Judgment. I've been playing it in Dragon Maid, and I tried to have fun playing it in Blue Eyes, and Sean and I are starting to get into some Edison format and Goat format and stuff like this, and just Judgment is just such a fun card to play with. I really enjoy it, so I run it at 3 in this build. Going into the extra deck now, maximizing on everything, just because we're running on limited resources for this. Even still, having said that, Grunix Eternity, Hiding of the Fire Kings, is a really good boss monster. So we brought out with 2+ level 8 monsters. If you can maximize how many material you can get on him, the better, because it's just really good. But you can also bring him out in other ways too. If this card is XZ summons, you can destroy all monsters on the field. You can also attach 1 material from this card and then target 1 spell trap card on the field and destroy it. And if you do, this card gains 500 attack, which is absolutely great to boost him up to an extra 35, so he's able to beat over the kaiju that you run in this build, and just any other problematic monster that your opponent might control. But also, he has a very good trick that if this card is destroyed while it has material, you can special summon Fire King monsters from your graveyard up to the number of materials that this card had, which is just absolutely insane. Especially if you can have 3 or more materials on this guy, you're able to really flood the field after he is destroyed. So I find that to be absolutely great. You want to maximize what you have with this guy. I think maybe in the future, if I do like a proper build, I might just trade this out for like 2 or something like that. But since we were only using 3 structure decks, we're at 3, but probably 2 will be the future build, but we'll wait for that for another video. Honestly, kind of just filler. I'm not too sure if any of these would really make it into the future builds of this deck, but it's still pretty cool while you can. So Coach King, Giant Trainer, he needs 3 level 8 monsters, which can sometimes be a big ask. But what he does is you can attach 1 material from this card, draw 1 card, and reveal it. Then if it was a monster, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. Which, you know, if you're running low on time and you kind of just need to burn your opponent in order to win the match, that's one thing this is good for. However, you can't conduct your battle phase when you activate that effect, which is really bad, and also that's kind of a risk in itself. So I'm not too sure if Coach King, Giant Trainer, will be making it very far in the future builds this deck. 3 copies of Diamond Direwolf. Again, we're just using whatever we can. Diamond Direwolf, 2 level 4 monsters, 1 per turn, attach 1 material from this card, then target 1 Beast Warrior, Wing Beast monster you control, and 1 other card in the field, destroy them. Yeah, probably not going to last very long in future build, but since this is all we're working with, just maximize every resource you have. And then 3 copies of the Fire Charmer. You know what, we might save 1 for the future, but we're just using what we can, so running a 3 right now. Let's go into the side deck. I really can't help myself. I love the Dragon Lure so much, so we're running 1 copy of Blaster. Blaster's here because he can be brought out since pretty much all of our deck is fire monsters. You can bring him out from your hand or your field or your graveyard by banishing 2 fire monsters. And also he has another effect in hand that you can discard him, 1 other fire monster, discard to the graveyard, and then target 1 card in the field and destroy it. Just great to have some destruction, and also a big 2800 beat stick that you're able to kind of bring out easy enough from your hand or graveyard. So it's limited right now, but might change in the future. But 1 copy of Blaster is still what we run on the side. I finish off the playset of the Mad Flame Kaiju, so the final 2 are in the side deck. And because we run Kaijus, I find it still pretty good since we're going second. Alpha, the Master of Beasts, might also be a good thing to have. You guys already know what happens when you Kaiju one of your opponent's monsters and use Alpha. You can use Alpha's effect to bounce itself back, and that Kaiju you just summon back to your hand. So 2 copies of Alpha in the side deck's pretty good. I also run 1 copy of Herald of the Abyss. Herald of the Abyss can be very good if you're going against some of your opponent's problematic monsters. So running it at 1 I find to be very good. But we're talking about great OG, kind of like you not targeting, non-targeting removal, maximize all your dark holes in the side deck is very good for this build too. And obviously I love my board wipers, so Torrential Tribute in the side deck as well. Finally, rounding things off in the side, I run 3 copies of Power Sink Stone. This is a continuous trap. I find it to be pretty good. Each time a monster effect is activated, you can place 1 Spellstone counter on this card, a maximum of 2. While this card has 2 Spellstone characters, neither player can activate the effects of face-up monsters on the field, and also the effects of face-up monsters on the field are negated. The drawback being that once per turn during the end phase, if this card has any Spellstone counters, remove them. This is a really bad skill drain. But skill drain can still be crippling to your opponent, so depending what your matchup is, Power Sync Stone can be very, very good. But only run the side, I definitely would not main deck this at all. And that's the build. Please let me know what you think. I'm really happy with the way this deck turned out. I'm really excited to kind of like mess around with it and find out all the fun, cool tricks that you can do with it. Maybe even add some other cards in order to kind of like change up the different things we can do with this deck. So please let me know what you guys think. Please let me know what builds and what tech options that you're using. I'm really excited to hear what you guys are doing with this deck. Don't forget to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel because there's plenty more content like this on the way. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.